Hi, I'm going to talk about my study abroad experience. Now, ever since I stepped foot on this campus and all throughout high school, I knew that I wanted to go abroad. And the typical response that I always said for where I wanted to go was Spain. But if you couldn't tell already, that flag right there is not the Spanish flag. I actually went abroad to Copenhagen, Denmark, and I was there for the entire spring 2016 semester, where I studied there for about 4 months. Now, the first time that I walked into the Study Abroad Center, what I told them was that I wanted to study abroad everywhere. And everywhere is a very big place. So with the help of the supervisors, they helped me narrow down my location to DIS Copenhagen. DIS is the organization that I went through. They are mostly known for their very interactive way of teaching and learning. DIS is they actually set you up. So one of your courses is called a core course. And this core course is where you travel for 1 week with your class. And this is a great opportunity because it's all paid through the organization, and you don't have to worry about a thing. Your professor is there with you. The core course that I picked was a psychology course. That was about the theories and general understandings of how to apply what we learn into a clinical setting. And the reason why I picked this program is because psychology is my major. And I have taken a lot of courses over my time here at Cal Lutheran, but I knew that I wanted to branch out my understanding to gain a better perspective about the world around me and the people that I will potentially be working with. I remember my first time, getting onto this plane where I flew out of LAX, had to make, a couple stops to finally get to my little last destination. Of Copenhagen. And the first day that I got into Copenhagen, it was actually snowing, which was, a little bit different than what I am used to here in sunny California. And I remember getting off and I was freezing cold. I had my, 2 big luggages with me coming out of the airport. And they were like, all right, let's go. You guys are going to meet your homestay family. And I was super excited because my homestay family had previously reached out to me. And I was very excited to meet them and to be able to experience a study abroad opportunity with them. So, in my homestay family, I had a dad, a mom, a host sister who was 12, host brother, Surin, who was 10, Leva, and then I had 2 cats. So, Copenhagen is at the end right over here, and I actually lived an 1.5-hour train ride all the way up in Holta. And Holta was actually right near the border of Sweden. It was actually a lot closer for me to get to Sweden than into Copenhagen. So while I lived with my homestay family, I would take a train every single morning to my classes, and I would take it into the city, and I would navigate through the city streets to the different classrooms that I had. And my favorite class by far was actually my photography class. And the reason for that is because we got to travel all over Copenhagen and really experience what it's like to be living in that city. Now, during my time of studying abroad, I also visited 5 different locations. I went to Vienna. I went to Barcelona. I went to I did not go to Warsaw. I went to Krakow, Poland. I went to London and Hamburg. And I would have to say, by far, my favorite location was Vienna. And the reason for that is because the psychology course that I was talking about earlier, we traveled there for a week and we got to see all of these incredible locations. Now, the birthplace of psychology is in Vienna, because one special person was born there, Sigmund Freud. You may have heard of his name a lot in a lot of different classes and a lot of different contexts, because he is the father of psychology. He started the empirical study of psychology in Vienna, and a lot of his theories still apply today. So, while we were in Vienna, we actually went to go see his house where he lived in. And it was an incredible place to go and see his famous chair where he did psychoanalysis. And we got to see some of his private collection of books and objects that he actually had around the house. As much as I wanted to stay with the homestay family that I grew and grown to love, and think of, and have a second home now in a totally different country, I knew that it was finally time for me to go home. Because when I got home, I was able to share my experiences with my mom, and I was able to share experience with all my friends and really explain how this new global perspective has actually changed the way I think about my studies, and especially in psychology. Because now I may be able to better understand what someone's backgrounds are, what their culture means to them. Because I saw a lot of different cultural upbringings, and I talked to a lot of people while I was in Denmark and through the program, and even on my travels. And it was very interesting to learn about a whole new culture that I'd never previously been accustomed to before. But I now know that whenever I travel, I will always have another place that I will be able to call home.